since we are facing this pandemic COVID-19, do you guys know that Malaysia also having food shortage problem? Do you realize that Malaysia actually lack of food supply and food production? What's going on actually? How can this pandemic make food shortage problem become more critical? According to Bulletin Report in 2019 released by Bank Negara Malaysia, Malaysia remains a net food importer, with imports forming at least a quarter of total food supply, which is about 25%. This means that Malaysia not attain self-sufficiency in food supply. As an example, in 2014, where COVID-19 issues hasn't exist yet, self-sufficiency ratio for rice was 71.6% as compared to 71.7% in 2013. Per capita consumption for rice in 2014 was 78.6 kg per year as compared to 78.8 kg per year in 2013. So this data revealed to us that actually we are having this food shortage problem before this pandemic COVID-19 exists. Do you remember what happened when MCO order was announced in March 2020? People do panic buying everywhere. They're afraid if they didn't have enough food supply, so they are buying more things in the market or the supermarket to make stock at their home. During this pandemic also, people who work as food producer or food supplier, such as farmer and fishermen, cannot do their job very well because their movement are restricted. This condition worsen food supply issue.
I'm going to talk about who is affected by food shortage in Malaysia. So the first one are those people in the B40 group. During this COVID-19 pandemic, the economy of our country has been slowed down, and most people have resulted in lost jobs, and it has affected the livelihood of the poor families. Second are those university students that have been stranded in their university. These students have been stranded because they do not have a chance to go back to their home, so they must stay at the college. So it is hard for them to find the food and also to buy a food since they cannot go out, and they need to wait for the food suppliers to send them some food. But sometimes it is not enough for all of them.
I will talk about solution to food shortage. The first point that I will talk about is no panic buying. We can see during the first announcements of movement control order, many people do panic buying due to the worry that there will be food shortage in the household that resulted them to buy a lot of things more than what they need. For example, after Gardenia announcements that there will be a limited amount of bread, people started to buy bread more than the amount that they need. That this resulted in food wastage. Panic buying has caused a short-term deficit in the food inventory since supply could not match the outburst in demand. The next point that I will talk about is reduce food loss and waste. Unfortunately, so much food is wasted every day. Public education will help to reduce food wastage and also save someone's life. Next is boost crop yields. Boosting crop yields will help the supply of food increase, resulting the country to minimize imported food. The final point is improve land and water management. Conservative agriculture such as reduced tillage, crop rotations and mulching will increase maize yields. By combining these techniques with agroforestry and intercropping with trees will help to further increase yields.
Based on a survey we recently conducted among 141 people, we concluded that around 50% of people are aware of the current food shortage crisis that is affecting thousands of Malaysians. And only a shockingly 40% of people agree that this is a major issue that should be addressed. Majority of them believe that poverty is one of the main causes of this issue and that providing aid for the poor should be carried out in order to solve this.
So registered in September 1967, Persatuan Tindakan Wanita Islam, or also known as Pertiwi, is a 53-year-old non-governmental organization (NGO) initially established for the betterment of rural women and children in education. It has since evolved into an organization which focuses on the needs of the homeless and also urban poor. In March 2010, Pertiwi Soup Kitchen (PSK) was launched to feed the homeless and urban poor in Kuala Lumpur. Together with PSK volunteers, meals and clean drinking water are distributed 4 nights a week in the heart of the city. Pertiwi has managed to carry out this huge responsibility without missing a single night service since its launching in 2010. And an estimated of over 1 million meals have been given out. In the late 2016, PSK started distributing lunch 3 times a week, and this service will cease its operation only during Ramadan and resume after Hari Raya Aidilfitri. With the implementation of Movement Control Order (MCO) by the government on 18 March 2020, about 85% of the homeless in KL's inner city area were placed in a temporary Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur (DBKL) shelters around Kuala Lumpur to keep them safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. From the time the first 3 temporary shelters were opened on 31st March 2020 up until the last one was finally closed on 3rd July 2020. Pertiwi was working closely with DBKL and other NGOs in supplying cooked meals to all the homeless. At the peak, nearly 1,900 meals were distributed to all the residents of the 10 DBKL temporary shelters. Although the lunch and dinner services halted with the implementation of MCO, Pertiwi has not stopped providing cooked meals and drinks to all those still on the streets and the urban poor families via a restaurant at Medan Tuanku. All this were made possible with the generous contributions from corporate sponsors and the general public. Currently, Pertiwi is still distributing cooked meals during lunch and dinner every day to those in need. We have also distributed new aid where groceries are distributed and pre-identified into urban poor families.